Hi there, welcome to the halftime huddle, and a slightly different background today because we're on the move. So if it sounds a little bit wobbly, then it's because you can blame my father-in-law for his internet. But welcome to the halftime huddle. Halfway through the week, this is opportunity to just reconnect a little bit. It's a time where if you're playing a football game, if you're a sports fan, this is where the oranges come out, and you spend a bit of time thinking about how the first half went, ready for the second half. So this is the opportunity to spend a bit of time on that, and I'm lucky today to have the opportunity to share this time with a lovely, wonderful lady called Merewyn Sayers, who I met a number of times. We met first, I think it was in some networking, virtual networking, and we had a connection with a location, and I'll let her tell you a little bit more about that when we come. But she's a marketer with loads of experience, and obviously that will come through, hopefully, with our conversation. So without spending too much time dithering and flustering around, I will introduce and bring Merewyn on. So, hi Merewyn, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm looking forward to having a good conversation with you. Like I said, we've met across Zoom meetings for a while, but we have a connection with a location. You left it, and I'm back in it more or less, give or take a little bit. And
Yeah, well, as I remember, you're more Hampshire. I'm a West Sussex girl.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. You're in the nicer part. The I don't, oh, I better not say it too loud, because my fellow Hailing Islanders will be moaning at me. But the Witterings and that neck of the woods is a little bit nicer. Don't tell anybody. Um, but Hailing's lovely. So we've just moved to Hailing, so next to Portsmouth. And you've moved away. You're up in where are you now in Yorkshire now, West Yorkshire.
I'm up in Yorkshire, yeah, near Huddersfield,
Okay.
near to Leeds. Yeah, I've been up here longer than I've not lived up in Yorkshire. So yeah.
It's easy for that to take over. We were talking to my wife. We just had recently. We had a wedding anniversary over the weekend, and I'm thinking that we've known each other more than we've not known each other. So it creeps up on you, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, nicely. It's a
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
it's a
badge of
great
honor too.
yeah, yeah, no,
Absolutely, absolutely. So
it reminded
as I said, we've met a number of times, and what I'd love to hear is what I call, and I'm probably not the one to talk about it because I'm a comic book geek, so it's your origin story. I'd love to hear how you got to where you got to, including why you're up in West Yorkshire, so
oh, blimey.
or Huddersfield.
Yeah, where do I start? I never know quite where to start with the story. So, I've claimed to be from West Sussex. I'm actually an Essex girl. I know. So for the origins, I'm an Essex girl. I was born in Harlow, and I moved down to West Sussex when I was 9, 10 years old, and we grew up on the south coast in West Sussex. I went to school in Chichester, and it was a very, very lovely time, or chai, as me and my mates called it, because we didn't see anything posh about it. We were teenagers at the time, um, and I moved up to Yorkshire because of uh, what's the phrase? Matter of differences. I fell out with my parents. We don't need to go into the ins and outs of that, but my cousin called. She just moved up to Yorkshire and said, "How do you fancy being girls behaving badly?" And I was like, "Oh, that sounds fun."
That does sound
Uh,
fun, doesn't it?
I've never watched men behaving badly, but I got the gist of it. And so I moved up to Yorkshire. I moved up to, we had our first flat in Heckman Wyke, and I moved around the area, and I eventually bought a house in Batley when I was 21. And all of those years I was living in that area, but working and living in Leeds. Um, oh gosh, I don't know how much detail, how much backstory. So yeah, Yorkshire it became my home, and I adopted it as my home. Until I met my husband. He wasn't obviously my husband at the time. I do feel like I need to point that out. It wasn't an arranged marriage. Um, we were working in Leeds, and I couldn't get the promotions that I was going for. I didn't have the degree, and we decided to go off and get a bit of life experience and go off travelling. So there's a whole much longer story, but I learnt to drive. I bought a camper van. We set off to France um, because of a death in my family. We had to come back. And then a couple of years later, we bounced over to the Netherlands and lived in the Netherlands for a couple of years. However, we both missed being at home and particularly Yorkshire. And so we came back to Yorkshire, and I went for a job, and they said, "Oh, you haven't got a degree." And I said, "Oh, well, I was thinking about going back to university to get a degree." She said, "What do you want that? What do you want to do that for? You've already got 15 years work experience." I said, "Well, can I go for that job, please?" And this went back and forth for a couple of times. And I decided to go back to university. So 2008, 2009, I went back to university. I didn't really know what I wanted to study. I just needed to get the degree that was being asked for. And I came across a foundation business management enterprise degree. And I thought, oh, I'll try that. And I got distinctions and merits. Well, not merits, but distinctions. And my first lesson was marketing. And I was, well, that's kind of what I've been telling people I wanted to do and focused on. But marketing for me was always connected with sales. It was always connected to communications. But what I learned on that first module was what marketing really is. It's about the creation of the business to the closing down of the business and everything in between. It's about understanding your market, understanding what you're bringing to market and the processes and procedures behind that. And I wondered at that point whether to change from my business management and enterprise degree and actually focus on marketing purely. And I thought, well, why when I'm already getting distinctions and I'm doing quite well, why change it? So it was a foundation degree, and I did 2 years, and topped up at Huddersfield University, coming out with a business marketing and strategy degree. And whilst at university, the last year I did a module on small business marketing, because that's where I wanted to work. I'd worked all these 15 odd years beforehand. When I worked at Logitech, when I worked in the Netherlands, I was working for Logitech, so mice, keyboards, cameras, etc. I've worked for British Gas. I've worked with large multinational organisations, but I've also worked in small businesses, family businesses, and that's where I've really loved working and got most value. And so I wanted to do that, but thought, I need to go out and get some experience. I need to work with the big organisations and wear all these fancy suits, and then I can work with the small businesses. But one thing or another, there was the recession in 2009, 2010 that prevented me, and I've changed my career. I'm kind of realising I'm going off on a bit of a ramble, but that's my origin story, how I became a marketer specialising in small businesses.
Oh, it's brilliant, and there's nothing around rambling and talking and through the story. This is part and parcel of it. Is none of us gets to where we are now through some direct straight route. We always twist and turn and up and down and left and right and coincidences and challenges and all kinds of things do lead us directly into, well, directly is the wrong word, into where we're working now. So it's really interesting, and to share that shows that you can get to all kinds of different changes in your life through the weirdest coincidences, the weirdest connections, um, things that happen and twist between between your life and the connections. And it's just that's what I love about sort of listening to other people's stories, and that's what I think um, is the thing that distinguishes us is our route into XYZ, because as we go along, we're picking up things, become lots of different ideas as well. So yeah, so
And
what? Go on.
retrospectively, you can look back and see how the stars were aligning in the path. You can't always see the clear path in front of you, but sometimes when you look back behind and evaluate your journey where you've been, you can see what's brought you to that point, your current point, and where it's taking you. So sometimes when you're planning to look forward, best to look back first, see
Uh,
those lessons you've learned.
Absolutely, absolutely, and 9 times out of 10, if you thought you could plan your route, the route you took, then you're completely mistaken and misunderstand that the connections that life has with you, and the different things that go along the way. So nobody with the right, even if they had all of the control they thought they had, they could probably navigate their way through the route that people take to get from A to B, because it's convoluted. There are different chunks in the road, which is lovely, which is what makes it exciting and interesting. There's always something new to learn, always some new route to go, and new thing to go to connect with.
Yeah,
So yeah, and you're right. If you look back, you see, oh, that's where I picked up X, and that's why I like to do Y, and etc. So
yeah.
what sort of looking back, which is a great way to talk about, what would you say was one of the key moments in your back thing that's brought you to where you are? Because I know one thing you haven't mentioned a lot, is you run the networking meeting, and you've also got a number of different networking. So obviously, networking connection is a big thing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wear several different hats, and one of the things that kind of connects all of them is networking. Um, I've been in business as sales solutions for I think 14 years now, 15 years, um, and that's kind of where I started business was networking. I was working in a business and I was researching marketing and not marketing, social media. And I'd learnt LinkedIn and I was building my connections and I was being invited to these networking events. Now, I got made redundant from that position. And I thought, oh, I'll go along to one of these networking events and see what the crack is. And so, yeah, for the last 15 years, I've kind of developed a love affair with networking, sometimes positive, sometimes negative. Sometimes we just don't want to go there. But most of the time, it's been good. So, as an attendee, as a networking tart, I have attended networkings, a whole variety of them. And then with the HD8 network, which is my side hustle or become an obsession, I was running local networking events. The first one was just a general meet-up in the pub, and everyone quite liked it. But I always say that being a female, I'm predispositioned not to approach men in pubs, and I'm really shy. No one believes me on that, but I am shy and socially awkward. And so, in a big networking event where it's completely informal, I'll kind of retreat in the back and maybe grab someone that I know, and just talk to them. Um, or on the other side of the spectrum, you've got the super organized, super structured, super, and they're not for everyone, but they've definitely got their place. The whole 60 seconds, I'm terrible at. Like the nerves at the moment, just talking generally with you now, is nothing compared to the 60 seconds. I can practice it, and I can stand up and my brain will go blank. I can't even say my name, let alone explain who I am or what I do. And so with the HD8 network, I run speed networking. So it's miniature one-on-one conversations where people get to, and I can promise that you get to meet half the people in the room. I've never quite worked out the algorithm. So if you're watching, listeners, or listening watchers, can you tell me the algorithm so I can meet connect the other half? I just call it chaos and shout, "There's the quick, hungry, move, otherwise you're going to miss out." Generally, I've found that only works for physical networking. We have done it online. Obviously, we don't need to mention the C word, but where we all went online and trying to organise the speed networking online was a bit chaotic, especially when it was just me. When it's in a physical meeting, I can just shout out, "Move, stop talking," and boss people about. However, I'm most well known for the West Yorkshire FSB networking
Yeah,
events.
that's where we met.
Yeah, so I've been a member of the FSB for 10 years now. And when I became a member, I got invited to the AGM because that's what I thought members did. And they said, "We're looking for committee members." And I thought, "Oh, well, got yourself here, Merewyn, get involved." So I put my hand up. And then they said, "Looking for a secretary. Would anyone like to become a secretary?" As well, in for a penny, in for a pound. And that's where I became branch secretary for the Kirklees branch. Now, anyone that's new to the FSB, they won't understand that, we've had a refresh the routes and we've got rid of branches. I'm now the area lead, which is the West Yorkshire area lead. However, as I say that, the position is becoming redundant. It's been taken away, and we're just going to have a regional chair with a group of volunteers. But through that role, so I'm a member and I'm a conduit between you, the members, the organisation, and a member representative elected into to the role. And we do several different things as the area lead, and one of them is helping to oversee the activities in the area. So pre-C, we were doing a range of different physical networking events, and then we had the lockdown situation. I had to go online, and I said to Barney Minot, my development manager in the West Yorkshire area, and Simon Monaghan, my other half, as I hilariously used to call him, my ex. He was also the area lead, just to fill anyone in. As we need to move the networking online. And they said, "Really?" I said, yeah. People are locked in. There's no connection. We need to move online. Well, do you think it will work? We'll have to try. And what we're coming up to 5 years of weekly meetings. The first meeting we had 8, then 16, and we kind of dotted around the 10 to 20 for a good couple of months. Then the rest of the FSB caught on, and you can now travel the width and breadth of the country on FSB networking calls, and it doesn't cost you a penny. A lot of people will say they've become a member so they can attend the networking events, but we're not a networking event. The FSB is a lobbying organisation, and we lobby government on behalf of small businesses. So when you hear in the newspaper or on the news that the government's making changes and it's going to affect businesses, bet your dollar that the FSB is already in conversations, already forming those opinions or lobbying against them. So, if you want to have a positive impact for small businesses, please do get in touch with your local FSB representatives, whether that's the development manager, the area lead like myself, or regional chair, or even the membership advisors. Now, if you're not a member, do check out your membership advisor, and they will be able to let you know all about the membership and get you signed up. But yeah, so we've been doing weekly networking events online for the last 5 years. That's quite fun.
No, it's brilliant, and that's one of the things I noticed. I mean, excuse me, very much. We had a similar sort of evolution. We moved from being a physical in person mastermind group through to then moving online. I mean, I recognised and understood the online environment because I'd used it a lot in my work in corporate. But the one thing I did find is quite quickly the FSB meetings, and yeah, and I took advantage to go, all over the UK, even up to the some of the meetings, the groups that were around in the sort of like you say, the lockdown period, were a lot more support based rather than networking based. So there was a lot of discussions. For instance, I went to a one up in the Highlands of Scotland, and they were very much discussing how they were challenged with a lot of the hospitality issues that we're having up there with people not necessarily traveling and not being able to come up to the Highlands, to the hotels and the restaurants and the etc. And they were discussing about that, and the FSB was very much through their networking meetings a support connection and network for people in that situation, because it was very very difficult time for a lot of businesses, especially in that sort of area. So yeah, very
100%.
very much a great move for the FSB, and I'm glad they've also kept them going, because there's place for, definitely a place for face to face connection. There's definitely a place for touching hands, sitting in front of someone with a physical cup of coffee, and saying hi. Absolutely, or a pint. Yeah, absolutely, and saying hi. But there's also a place for for those people connection. And one of the things I love about the way the FSB does them is they make very good use of the technology. I'm looking as if I'm getting the sun behind me, so I move a little bit. So they're very good about the technology, and they make very good use of breakout rooms, because like you said when you were talking about, and if you go into a physical networking meeting, sometimes it can be quite daunting if you've never done it before to, like you say, come and break into a group of people who are standing there having a chat, looking as if they've known each other forever, and you're standing sort of on the fringes, thinking, "Well, how do I talk to these people who all seem to know each other?" Even though people go to networking to meet people, so it's not as if they're going to turn you away and say, "Excuse me, I came here to chat with my mates." Uh, but it can be quite daunting. Whereas the breakout rooms, so you've got no chance. You're dropped into a room. There's someone in there. There's someone to chat. There's generally someone who will help support you and give you an opportunity to chat. And very rarely do you get occasionally you get someone who's in a chatty Cathy mood, or a chatty
I
Bob mood, etc., and chats a lot. But generally, it's all good, easy, and whatever happens
don't.
happens.
Yeah, I don't like breakout rooms.
Don't you? Oh, okay. I know. I must
No.
admit, I do love your meetings as well, because they're very much, you share everybody's stuff outside. But yeah, but I quite
Yeah.
like the breakout rooms as well. So there you go.
Yeah. I.
We can we can
I've
have that
never.
discussion, can't we?
Yeah. So similarly, like the Chamber of Commerce near by us, they I can't remember the name of it. Was it 60 useful seconds, or and they'd have round tables, and you'd have a room of 100 people or more, but you're sat on a table of 6 to 8 people, and that's the only people that you can speak to, not own can speak to. And I've always found that I'm sat next to the person that starts it. They always go left, and I'm to the right, and I always get the last 10 seconds to talk. And quick, we've got to move on. Breakout rooms I can find reasonably similar. Either everyone's in there really awkwardly, don't know what to say. So I'm then trying to make the effort to get people to
Yeah.
introduce themselves and talk, or there's a chatty Cathy that just dominates the whole thing. And I think, well, that was kind of a bit of a waste. With our Tuesday morning West Yorkshire networking, I call it say and spray. We go around the room and everyone has 60 seconds, provided we've got enough. Before the summer holidays, I got a message from Barney to say that we had 58 people booked on for our weekly networking. And I kind of did the math. If everyone has 60 seconds,
That's right.
then
Yeah.
talk for about 3 hours in between each person. We haven't got enough time to get round. Um, so going back to what you said about the COVID lockdown times, very much predominantly it was, this is an opportunity to build connections, and I would ask that if anyone has a success or a challenge they want to share, and very much so during the lockdown period, everyone used that opportunity.
Yeah.
I've got this success, or I'm actually struggling with this. And the connection between our attendees was amazing. You know, we've still got Tearful Daniel that comes from Kent every week. I think he's more regular than I am, and he's been coming. And we've got so many, I can't start to list them. There is less so much of the peer support in networking now. I'm constantly trying to remind people networking isn't just about sales,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't just be about sales, but it is, because we're there to make connections and make good impressions to be able to win more business. But networking should be about building our network,
Yes.
about finding people to collaborate with, finding people to work alongside, finding someone just to find out it's not just me that's struggling. Because when you work on your own, away from everyone, you can think it's just a you problem. It's not always a you problem. It's sometimes a problem that needs to be shared.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you're so right. It to be honestly, often the sales bit is it's like a side issue. It's something that comes out of the networking, because you get referrals, you get connected to people remind you, people when they're talking to others, remember that they've had a networking session with, you know, case in point today. I had a conversation earlier with a storyteller that I'd met at networking, and it reminded me that I'd met another person who does the same thing, and we put them together. So not necessarily, neither of them would buy each other's products, because essentially they do the same sort of thing. So, but they have a conversation to talk to each other,
Yeah.
make connections, find out how they're doing without any kind of challenges. Maybe collaborating if they can. But you never know. You never know what
No,
the connection will bring you.
no, exactly. And this is one of the things that I learned in my small business module, that large businesses, they can pay for research and they can pay for things. But small businesses, you can pay for research, you probably haven't got the budget for it or the reach for it. And so when you're marketing your products, when you're marketing your business, when you're understanding what works, what doesn't work, what people are expecting, where's the perfect place to do that? Networking.
Yeah,
You might always get the most open and honest, because everyone's there just to impress, and
yeah,
everyone will say wonderful things because they don't want to look negative. And so, but networking is a perfect place to do your small business marketing, not marketing communications, not the sales side, but marketing, to understand people's price
yeah.
points, what they're wanting, what they're needing, who the competitors are.
Absolutely. I'm forever telling people that because one of the advantages to virtual, and I'm now virtual, so I can work across the UK. I can work across time zones to a certain extent, so I can work across geographies. So you know, I can pick business up wherever, but there are some businesses that are very location specific. They work with people in their geography. And I even tell them, go and network in, say, for instance, if you're Kent or Sussex, go network in Northern Ireland with someone. You might find someone who does exactly the same sort of thing as you. You've got
Yeah.
no concern, no worry over the fact that you might actually be competitors. So you can be a little bit more open. You can discuss and find out what they're doing and how they're working and that kind of stuff. And you can do that without any kind of fear by moving around and connecting with other kind of people. So it's yeah, definitely. Networking is a bigger, better tool than just a sales tool. And to be honest, a lot of people forget that there's so much more you can get from building a good network.
Yeah,
And exactly what you said, the trick is in the name. It's a networking meeting, not a sales meeting.
not a sales meeting. Yeah, it's not just about referrals,
No,
winning work.
no.
Giver's gain. It's a great theory, but
Yes, yes. No, absolutely, absolutely. No, absolutely, completely. The BNI is a great a great example of some of the things in that respect in terms of connection and networking. And they're both they're both a sales force
yeah,
plus a support network.
yeah,
I don't myself. I
and
don't go to BNI, but I know a lot of people do really really well. Um, but
yeah. No, there are definitely good parts of it.
Yes. No, no, indeed, indeed. Yeah, as what they say on the BBC, other networking groups and networking associations are right. But yeah, you can go to Tesco's, you can go to Sainsbury's, you can go to BNI, you can go to wherever you want to go.
But that
Absolutely.
is one of the things that, and whilst I probably would never ever become a BNI member again, although I don't say ever,
No.
I do recommend to the people that I speak to try it out,
Yeah.
because for very many people, it's worked amazingly.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah.
Particularly if you're a tradesperson and you can get in with the right trades, it can be really fortuitous.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
It's good to mention BNI and make people aware that there are other people,
Yeah.
because when I say, well, come along to my networking, they say, oh, done BNI, it's not for me.
Yes. No.
There is more to networking than BNI.
Yeah.
That is, and I mentioned earlier, there's a wide spectrum. You've got a meet up in the pub where you're not even allowed to talk about business.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got BNI at the other end, and there's a whole rainbow of different events. And even if it's a BNI, go and try another BNI, because it's a collection of personalities, a collection of egos, and you're trying to find your people, your tribe, the people that you'll get on with. So,
Absolutely. Very right. I mean, around where we are, there's a big push for sort of network, or what they call it, networking, which is sometimes you
oh,
go for a walk, go for a stroll. And no, I must admit, I'm not a fan on with too much of that. But they go for a walk, they go for they end up in a coffee shop afterwards and have a chat. Some of
yeah,
it's networking, some of it's just chat, some of it's just social. Yeah, so it's about building a network of support, and maybe referrals out of it, and whatever, even collaboration, people you can work with, all kinds of things come out of a great opportunity to network. So
yeah,
you're right, and there's rainbow is the big thing nowadays, but there's a definite rainbow spectrum of different ways of doing it, from
yeah.
online to virtual to mixed to what to be honest, even going to an expo, there's often a networking opportunity in there. So
But even in your normal day to day life, going to the pub, that is networking.
yes,
You are building a network. And that's one of my gripes that I have with the HD8 network, because everyone says, oh, it's a networking event. No, it's a network in the HD8 area. It is an online platform that provides a network so you can find what's going on, who provides, admittedly, to add to the confusion, in the early days, we did run networking events on a monthly basis, and we've restarted them. But we're not just an event. We're not just somewhere to go. We provide a network. We help you be connected, in the local area. So, yeah, networking is a lot more than turning up to an event and flogging your wares.
absolutely. Giving you a pitch, your 60-minute pitch or 60-second pitch,
Yeah,
60-minute pitch.
this,
Sorry, excuse me. Some of them
that
sound
would
like
be.
feel like they're 60 minutes, but yeah, indeed.
This is my 60-minute pitch.
Absolutely, well done. So superb, brilliant. Like I said, there are a number of things that we were wanting to do with this opportunity to have a little chat. One of them is to share what you do. The other thing is to sort of highlight, and what I'm doing this a lot for is to highlight, and showcase other ways of doing things. The sort that there are also people in your same doing the same sort of things, running through the same sort of challenges as you, and have maybe found a slightly different way of doing things. So I like to ask sort of little tips and tricks from you. So one of the things I'm a as we said before, I come from an IT background, so I'm a techie at whole. So I'm always looking for tools. They could be digital as well as analog. So I mean I'm sitting here beside me is my bullet journal. I love a pen and paper. So I run from the gamut from all kinds of stuff. So I'm interested to know if you come across the little tips and tricks or tools that you use in your day to day sort of business that you think is you'd love to share with other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things I love about the, say, solution suggestion sessions, because there's so many tips and tricks,
Yeah.
and I can share them now, but they're not going to be specific to you. So it's getting understand the individual circumstances, what they're wanting to do, what they're wanting to achieve from it. But you said pen and paper. So my top trick is a remarkable, because it truly is remarkable. For anyone that doesn't know, it's an electric notepad which feels like you're writing with pen and paper. It's lush. And it is connected. I've got the app on my phone, I've got it on my computer, and so I can write on my notepad and it's there immediately. There's also a magical button that it needs a bit more magic in it, that convert to text. I think I need to improve my scribblings a little bit better, because sometimes it can be as long to retype it is to correct the
Fix
uh,
all its misconceptions. Yes.
yeah. But I've had mine for the last couple of years, and I haven't used a notepad since. Actually, I'm holding a pen, which is quite bizarre. I don't know how that's arrived on my desk, but yeah, remarkable. It truly is remarkable. And unfortunately for me, they've brought out a new version that's got a backlight and
uh,
it's colour, but I can't quite rationalise getting a new one. So
I was just
a
going to ask you because I have a remarkable too, and I have a one from quite a way back, and you're right. I've seen the new one. And it does look very sexy, and I think,
yes,
oh, really?
can I really get away with dropping mine to justify it?
Oh, brilliant idea! But don't tell anyone. You didn't hear this. You
No,
didn't hear
no,
this. Oh dear, it was dropped. Honestly, seriously, I ran over
yeah,
it with my car. But no, I'm going to second that as well. That is it's a great tool. I haven't got mine here with me, but I've used it an awful lot, and the experience. I used to use an iPad and draw on it, but and I've seen, to change the subject for that iPads, I've seen that you can get some coating that you put on an iPad that gives you the similar type of feeling. But it's very if you like the feeling of pen on paper, Remarkable is brilliant. It's
it really is. Yeah, a friend, a colleague of mine, they kept on looking over at me at a meeting, watching me,
mm,
and they said they were very, very tempted to buy one, but they realised they had an iPad at home with a stylus, and he said, but it's just not the
not
same.
the
It's
same.
just
It's
not
not
the
the same.
same. It just, yeah, and that's what I really missed before, to get my ideas out. I know that I need to type them at the end, but I'm a thinker with the
Yeah.
pen and the scrawlings, and it just helps you get those thoughts out. So yeah, it's been a remarkable tool.
Hence the name. Yes, indeed, indeed. They've got a perfect brand in there. Remarkable in name and in ability as well.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but but no,
absolutely.
you're very right. And like you say, the scribble or the scroll, even though the OCR type stuff can be a bit hit and miss if you've got a if you're a doctor and you scroll like a doctor, then
Yeah,
trying to disentangle all the weirdness of your hieroglyphics can be a challenge. But they do mostly do a really good job,
yeah.
and you can,
Most,
like you say, go on.
yeah. So most of the time, it's that little hieroglyphic that means more than any of those words, because
Yes,
it brings back, when you get past the business card at networking meetings, my brain will take in the logo, and so when I'll see them next, I can kind of see, and it's a memory thing. There are pluses and minuses to it, but it is
No, absolutely,
light
absolutely.
is shining on you
It is, yeah.
tremendously.
Ta-da! I know. Because to highlight a little bit of a semi-conversation we had a little bit beforehand for those people who are going to be coming across this and listening. We talked very much about backgrounds, and I'm in a slightly different background today. And we talked about those people who may have their washing in the corner and the etc. I'm in my father-in-law's, and the washing is behind me, so I'm normally facing into the sun, but I've got the sun behind me. So I'm looking very, very. I'm going to halo in a minute if I'm not careful.
Well, the sun shines on the
It
righteous.
does indeed. It does indeed. And I have that conversation with my wife. I'm born the beginning of May, and she's born the middle of May. And often the beginning of the May is normally a nice part. The middle of May starts to get a bit springy, i.e. wet and misty. So I always tell her that the sun shines on the righteous because it's normally the beginning of May, and I get a nice sunny holiday, and she doesn't.
Yeah.
So there you go. See, this is a little bit of a personality touch that we get from our origin stories. You never knew you'd come across, and I talk about the fact that the sun shines on me because of the beginning of May. No, going back to the tools, it's a brilliant tool, and I love that. And there's something about, which is why I like the pen and paper, and I still, even though I've got a remarkable, I haven't fully moved towards it. Is there something about the tactile, physical nature of moving your body and the connection, like you was talking about the scroll and the scribble and the logo and the image, reminds you of the person you met with the business card. It's also the same sort of thing. Your
Yeah.
physical interaction with the pen and the paper also is an extra hook that your brain can remind you of what you're writing, and the remarkable is really, it adds to that in the way that it feels as you write about it, because there is nothing. The stylus is brilliant. iPads are brilliant, and Apple are wonderful. The technology they make, and I'm doing this on an Apple, so I'm not going to diss them, but there is something that is a little bit weird about gliding over the glass with a stylus. It's not quite the same in any way.
Yeah. No. No.
But
Absolutely.
no. So yeah, brilliant. It's nice to see a fellow remarkable. I think I convinced a number of my people, friends at work, to try it out, because once you get hooked, you get hooked.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was Sharon Jandu that we were having a meeting. And she said, "I tell you what you need, Merewyn. I tell you what you need." I said, "What's that then?" She said, "You want a remarkable? It's one of these." And I leant back, and my desk was the other way around. I leant back. My husband's in that door. And I said, "Babe," he said, "What?" "Babe," he said, "What?" I said, "Do you know what I need for my birthday?" Oh, he's answering me now. "You know what I need for my birthday? Apparently, I need a remarkable." And yeah, I got one because I'm a very lucky girl. But I don't know. I think I don't know the cost of one, but it's definitely worth it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and if you talk about, if you're comparing like with like in terms of a notebook and paper, then you're not, because there's so much more you can do with it. But yeah, so it's well
Yeah,
worth its cost.
yeah.
Even though it's not, I don't know, like you say, you have to justify, once you've got one, have to justify to move to the next one. It's color. That's
Well, yeah, I know. Like
technology for you.
obviously, yeah. I must have had this for 3-4 years, and think about the amount of notepads that I would have gone through,
Mm.
and the pens that I would have gone through. And I've not. I've got one. I've got a box of them up there. That my daughter's now like. "Oh well, can I have all your notepads?" And yeah, I can go on about it all the
No,
time. So
absolutely.
yeah,
And like you were saying, the add-on, even though it sort of has its little foibles in terms of connecting, you can turn your scroll into the beginnings of an email or a message or a document or something that other people
yeah,
you can send on to and do whatever the sort of manipulation you want with that. So yeah, it's there you go. Remarkable. We need a affiliate link so we can we can we can we can all
other
get some cash for
do
those people who could buy it.
yeah.
We need a little bit of a kickback. This is what networking's all about, isn't it? We network with Remarkable. No, superb. And talking of networking, I always like to. I mean, we've had this big old conversation, and but one of the other things I like to discuss, and we've discussed it, and I think it's happy to do it, is how people running a small business, connections is a big thing, and like you were saying, networking is definitely definitely a way to rebuild the connection and take you out of your room a little bit. It's another thing we had. Virtual is all well and good, but it's nice to have a proper cup of coffee and a proper pint or a
Yeah.
proper whatever you want to do, or physically go for a walk or whatever. So yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And another thing that I liked that and I said at the top of this this meeting, this live, is that this started really way back in a couple of years back, as a view to support those people for whom they're on their own a lot of the time, and small business and business as a whole is very much about keeping the consistent plugging away going, working day by day, keeping the things going. And it very much came along in the middle of the week, basically, as I said at the beginning, as a sort of a hump day type thing. I love the term hump day. It's where essentially halfway through the week you start the week with a great set of plans or lists or steps, and then halfway through the week you're in the middle of thinking, geez, excuse my French, where are we now? What's happened with the week? So that's what I also like to hear from other people. How do you cope with the fact that it's a daily slog, and keeping things going day by day is a challenge?
I think it's possibly the wrong question to ask me right at the moment, because I'm not entirely sure. I think it's just keep swimming is the
Mm.
phrase that there are ups and downs with it. Yeah, I'm gonna. Can I sidestep that question? I'm not
No,
quite sure.
absolutely, and that's fine. And to be honest, ultimately, that is the question is just, just keep swimming.
Yeah,
If you
reevaluating your life goals. One of the things that I work with businesses on solutions is the strategy. And I guess it's really looking at where you're wanting to go. So I've created the 4-part plan to simplify the business plan and help make it more meaningful and effective. And so it's understand where you want to go, where you are now, what you need to do to get you from where you want to go to from where you are now to where you want to go, and how you measure it. And so I guess, how do you stay motivated? It's going back to those basics, going back to part one. Where do I want to go? Am I doing this to get me where I want to go, or am I just keeping busy? And yeah, it's looking back and looking at that strategy, and looking from behind you, what you've done in the past, has it got you nearer? And yeah, are your life goals and your business goals, are they matching? So, but yeah, just keep on plugging away, use those connections to reignite you. And if you do need further help, come and chat to me. I can always point you in the right direction.
No, absolutely, and I second that essentially. Having a good, clear understanding of what you're trying to achieve with your business is a great way of keeping yourself plugging away and taking those steps day by day. Because if you can find an easy way of reminding yourself on a day by day basis of why you are doing what you're doing, then that helps to keep you going through the ups and downs. And you're right, finding someone who can help and support you do that through whatever way you do that, whether it's a one-to-one type, coaching, consultants, mentors, those kind of connections are great to support you with tips, tricks, helping you reconnecting with who and why you're doing what you're doing for. Plus, remembering that essentially we all fall off the bike sometimes. It's just getting back on it.
Yeah.
And every time you fall off and get back on, it's a little bit easier, really, I think.
Well, come see, come sorry. It all depends on the situation. It all depends on the fall and the
Yeah.
trust and faith that you've lost in between. But yeah, no, absolutely. Sayers Solutions, to plug Sayers Solutions, offers one-on-one coaching, consultation, and training. We like to empower businesses to do it for themselves. But I also run the club session, which is the Small Business Small Marketing and Strategy Club. And so that's peer support. So it's a collective group of supportive people where we come together and discuss what's happening, and collectively pull together to make suggestions and help.
No, absolutely. Great. I can't say anything more than that. And I would encourage anyone who's listening to this, who's running their own business on their own, to find their. We sort of talked about it, or we were talking about the group. Find your tribe, find your group, find your support group.
Yeah.
There are a number of different ways around it, and dip in and try lots of
Yeah.
different ways. Because once you find that those people who can be there for you up and down. I did come across a statement once where someone was talking about having a tough day, and one of the things about building this kind of support group, and someone also mentioned a quote about the best time to build a well is when you don't need it, basically when the sun's shining. So build your network connection, build your muscle of helping and supporting and getting support from people when you don't need it, basically. It
Yeah.
sounds silly. People never think that far ahead. They never think,
It's
I'm going.
exactly yeah, it's exactly the same with marketing and advertising.
Yes,
You should be
no,
marketing and advertising, and kind of when the chips are down, when the budget's tight, that is when you should be upping your marketing and advertising, not pulling the budget because you haven't got the money. It is accountants' advice. Well, I've spoken to many accountants, and that's definitely what they advise. Obviously, a marketer's always going to tell you not to pull the marketing budget, but if an accountant says it, it must be business sense. But yeah, something to kind of mention that again, something I learned from my small business marketing module back at university. You've got the difference between strong and weak ties. Your strong ties are your family, your friends, the people that love you, the people that care about you, that they will say, yes, 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 that's amazing. I think you should do that because I think you're amazing. Or they'll say, oh, actually, it sounds a bit risky. Maybe you shouldn't do it. They're perhaps not the people to be networking or having in your professional network. Those weak ties, those that unfortunately actually care about you, they want to give their opinion. They obviously hopefully everyone wants to see everyone do well, but you'll get honest opinions. Like I said, not necessarily in your sales networking events where people just want to curry good favour and make good impressions, but in the peer networking or down the pub, people that they'll be honest with you and you can bounce those ideas about. So making sure that you've got a selection of people that are strong ties
mm-hmm.
that really have got your back, but also those weak ties, those ones that don't really care. Maybe they're informed, experienced, mentor. They've got that relevant experience. They're good to have in your tribe.
No, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I'll fully be behind you in that respect. There's a good connection. It's good to have those people who will support you no matter what, and it's good those people who will give you a more measured view of what you should do and what your how you're working and how the things are going. So you can have that good clear spectrum of support across the board. Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, the sun
Something
is
else.
blaring.
That sun is getting a
And
hiss.
boom, there I've gone.
But something else to say that I first said this to a friend who we were talking about and we were discussing their issues and I said, I don't want to say their name, but I said, friend,
Yep.
I mean this from the most loving place. You're not special. These problems are not unique to you. I'm not saying that everyone has those problems, but everyone has those problems.
Hmm.
So whilst you're lamenting and being upset and holding all those problems in, you are making them your problems. A problem shared is a problem halved. And there's other
Absolutely.
people that have gone through similar experiences that can help you. But whilst you think you're special and you're keeping all those problems inside, you're not helping yourself.
No,
So
completely. Absolutely. Absolutely. Completely. And that's 100% one of the rationales behind why we do what we do at a game is essentially that is you know, we're all doing the same sort of thing. We've all maybe gone through a slightly different route, and we talked about that up at the front. You know, we all go through very ziggy zaggy routes to from A to B, and along the way we pick up different tips, different tricks, different ways of doing things, um, and um, and sometimes being able to share that with other people gives people a different perspective, a different idea. That if they exactly what you said, if they'd have held it all to in themselves, they wouldn't have seen these different viewpoints. They wouldn't have seen these different perspectives. They might not have had some new options to try to get them through some of the challenges they're facing.
yeah,
Because, like you say, none of us are in the scheme of things, that special that the things we do are completely unique to us. So, yeah, so sharing that with other people is the best way to be honest. It's almost like we learn from our mistakes, but it's much easier to learn from other people's mistakes. Even though we
absolutely.
don't. I did see a quote somewhere. I can't remember who it's from, but it was talking about, and I think it might have been the Hitchhiker's Guide guy, Douglas Adams, mentioned
Oh,
something. I think he mentioned something about human beings are lucky animals to be able to learn from other people's mistakes, but don't. Something like that. And I've murdered that quote. And for those people listening, I will find the actual quote and put it in the comments somewhere. But essentially, that's the challenge. If we can really, understand how people are going through these and learning from other people's mistakes, it's much easier to see other people fall on their faces and then don't do that, rather than fall on your face first.
yeah.
So
We're
yeah,
all
learn from other people's mistakes.
yeah, we're all unique, but we've all got the same issues.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
No, indeed, indeed, indeed. So brilliant. We've been talking for a long time, and I'm glad we've had this opportunity. Uh, we're coming to the stage where I think we were going to. I know we've done a little bit upfront discussion about. I'm trying to get this light is really killing me.
I'm
Look at this.
sorry, but
I much. I know. Look, there you go. That's what I'm. Look, I'm all washed out. My camera's gone all washed out. But
I'm
what I'm
just glad
doing is my little finger.
she's got worse
If,
lighting
if
than
I need to
me.
take a photograph of this, of me, how I'm trying to cope with all this, I will do this and I'll put it on. But
So,
basically,
what?
I'm sitting there with my finger over the top, trying to stop. There you go. You can see my camera. You won't be able to see it. I'll put it again as a comment below. See, this is the beauty of having to do this without having to worry too much. Yeah, you smiled. To worry too much about who's listening and who's watching. I'm sitting here with my finger over creating a little tiny shade to stop this. So brilliant. Anyhow, on that note, stop laughing, Merewyn.
Can't stop.
We're coming to the bit where you were saying I'm going to have to decide which one to go on the spur of the moment. But we're talking about books now.
Yes,
And
but
this is primarily one of the things that I love. I mean, I read a lot, and we had this conversation before when we were talking about it. Outside of this live stream, is those people who love learning and love books normally have a load of different books that they would recommend, and it would very much depend on who they were talking to that they'd recommend. So, have you decided on which book you were going to share with us? I
well,
think you had.
I've probably got a list of books. My default go-to that I recommend to anyone is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Yep.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, you've gone. Oh no! Please don't do that. Now I can laugh at you, Merewyn, because you've gone frozen. I will double check that we've got. If anybody's listening to this, I'm very sorry that we've lost Merewyn for the moment. Hopefully we can have a look so I can catch her back. Where are you, Merewyn? Oh, hopefully she'll come back. There we go.
What
See, now I
happened?
can laugh at you, Merewyn. You froze and you died on me. Left me
Oh,
hanging
yeah.
there, Merewyn.
Same. I was like, I don't know if you're still there. You're
I was
frozen.
still there. It's fine. See, brilliant. As they say, stuff happens when you do things live.
It really does. Yeah.
Yes. So you were talking about The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho.
Yeah, Alchemist is my go-to, and if you've already read Alchemist, there's a whole range of books in his collection. All of them brilliant. He's a brilliant author and quite thought-provoking. But the one book that I thought that I'd recommend is The Smiler. It's an autobiography. It's his origin story. So he's my favourite DJ. He's a living legend. He went to prison, which forms the criminal justice bill. It was his case that brought it was the Graham. Brilliant book. And talking about origin stories, it's a fab book, so I would definitely recommend it to anyone, whether you like house music or not.
Brilliant. I will chase it up. And for those people who are coming to this again, I will get the book and put a link to it as well, so people can have a look at it and buy it. But yeah, no, I love to listen and hear other people's recommendations, and primarily this section of this live stream is primarily for me because I love to hear other people's book recommendations. Nobody else needs to hear this. We could have probably stopped and just looked at it, but still. Well, thank you very much for spending the time with us. I've loved having this chat.
Yeah.
And even with me looking, oh no, the sun's gone. Yes, the sun's gone.
No, it's not.
The sun's gone. Even with the fact that I was going all blown out.
It's going all more comic.
It was, yes. It's all gone now. It's gone now. I'll quickly, while the sun's still gone. It'd be lovely to talk to you. And I hope you have a brilliant week. And we will see each other across the Zoom. I think also potentially we may even see each other properly. Are you still coming down? Yeah, we'll see if we can arrange for a proper cup of coffee sometime.
Yeah. Yes.
It's lovely
absolutely.
to talk with you. And before we go, and also one thing you mentioned, Sawyer's. Sayers. I knew I'd do that. I knew I would do that. We said that at the beginning. So, where, if people want to find you and spend more time learning what you do and connect, where's the best place for them to connect?
LinkedIn's probably the best place. LinkedIn, my personal profile, everything's linked from there. However, Sayers Solutions has its own website, sayersolutions.co.uk, HD8 Network, hd8network.co.uk. But pop along to a Tuesday morning networking, see me flapping around professionally.
Brilliant.
But yeah, LinkedIn is probably the best place to connect with me.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much for that. So I will say ta-ta. For those people who say goodbye to Merewyn, for those people who come across me again, please drop in and say hi in the comments. I'd love to see you and hear how you're getting on through the week. We will be doing another one of these next week, and I will. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. So in the meantime, have a great week. I hope the second half is your best half, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.